Well, geonerds, around Australia there are quite a few mysterious stone structures that pay homage to an ancient race. Not this time, my Indigenous cousins. Not this time.
I'm walking backwards for Christmas across the Irish Sea.
So these structures keep popping up around Australia and they look fantastic, don't get me wrong. But the structures they're modelled on are very, very old. Way older than the Celtic civilization they profess to actually celebrate, like thousands of years older. So anyway, let's have a look at that. Let's look at where they are and what they're made out of course. And as usual, if you dig the vibe, like and subscribe. And you know what I'm going to say. Let's rock. Well, folks, here we are, coming out of Brisbane, of course, across the old brown snake. Got a bit of altitude here, because today we're heading down to the New England tableland. Just thought we'd hang out here a bit, look at all this beauty. This Mount Flinders, lovely spot. All right, we better hightail it, because we've got a long way to go, and a short time to get there. There's our bombing range down there. Go, guys. Not to worry, here we go. Across those beautiful mountains we talked about in the main range volcanics, up onto the New England tableland. And into the beautiful little town of Glen Innes. Here we are. And I'm making this in winter, and looking down at that town, I feel sorry for those people, because my, that town gets cold. There's the quarry on the outskirts of town there. We'll look into the geology of that in a minute, because it's pretty cool. But what we've got here now is some standing stones. Mysterious standing stones. Ooh. Let's have a closer look at these things, because they are interesting. So folks, if we're going to talk about stone circles, I suppose we need to start at the very beginning.
A very good place to start.
Okay, that's a bit too far back. A little further forward.
Let's make it rain. 88. Come on, give us a hand.
So as part of the bicentennial celebrations, a bunch of locals at Glen Innes made a submission to build this monument to the Celtic ancestry, or so they say. Unfortunately, they didn't get any funding, so it took them a while, but they got it built. Local people chipping in, local stone, local granite, and here they are, knocking them all up and concreting them in, and they got it done by about 1997. So they celebrated by having some medieval knights fight each other. A little bit out of context, but hey, what the hell. So there are 38 megaliths on this site, 3.5 metres or so high, and it's just outside Glen Innes, and it's modelled on this. The Ring of Brodgar in Orkney, in Scotland. And yeah, it looks sort of like it. It's a ring. So the messaging here to me is a little confusing. It's supposedly the national monument to celebrate the Celtic people past and present, and it's unique in the southern hemisphere. Oh yes, I am reading this, but it's the Celtic people who settled the area. Now, first of all, these stone circles were built for 1,000 years before the Celtic, at least before the Celtic people even showed up, probably longer. These things are as old or older than the pyramids, so that's a little confusing. So yeah, what I do see, however, is a community coming together to celebrate something that they felt important. They funded it themselves, they built it themselves. Glen Innes is a beautiful town. This is an amazing thing, don't get me wrong. And if you're there, you must go and see it. You'd be crazy not to. But I think they have a coffee shop there and everything you need, some nice public toilets. So yeah, it's a great plot, and it's a big asset to Glen Innes. The granite from this, by the way, comes from about 1 kilometre away. There's a big quarry on the way into town, so it's all just that beautiful, coarse-grained New England granite. Beautiful stuff. You'll also see all the tool marks in it, from whether they either cut it with saws or they hit it with plugs and feathers and drills. You can see all the tool marks in it, which I love. I think it's fantastic. Now, the next thing we're going to look at, well, it's a little way away, and we got to get out of Glen Innes, so let's do a bit of that. Well, there we go, folks. We're just backing out of Glen Innes. We got to put the hammer down because we've got a long way to go. We're going to Western Australia. We're looking at Australia's stone circles. Well, we're through South Australia here. We're going to head across the Great Australian Bight. There we go. And we're going to cruise down into a gorgeous little town called Esperance. One of our pink lakes was down here we had a look at in another video. There's the airfield down there. I've actually landed there years ago when I was in the Air Force. We're not headed for airfields, oh well, what the hell. Let's go have a quick look. Great little airfield. Every town's got to have an airfield in Western Australia. But we're not here to see that. We're here to see something even more awesome. A 1-to-1 copy of StoneHenge from the Salisbury Plain on the Esperance Plain. There it is, as it would have looked years ago, not as it looks now. They've even realigned it here to fit the solstices. What an intriguing and amazing monument. Absolute crap load of local granite in it. So let's have a closer look at it and the stone and where it came from. So what we've got here, folks, is 10 inner trilithon stones form a horseshoe shape. Those stones weigh between 28 to 50 tonnes, depending on the one, with an 18-tonne lintel laying over each one, about 8 metres in the air. Around the outside, the perimeter has 30 sarsen stones, each weighing 28 tonnes, with 8-tonne lintels across the top, and they're about 5 metres up. So this is a serious bit of gear, people. It wasn't built to be here. It was for a project at Margaret River. Yeah, those cows are walking backwards. Gee, they're clever over there, aren't they? Anyway, I thought it looked better backwards. The guy who funded it ran out of money, and the stones were still here in Esperance being quarried. So a local bought it and finished it, and he's since then sold it. I think it sold for about, the whole property with this thing on it sold for $2 million a little while ago. So there you go. Let's have another look at the little quarry, because it's just up the road and it's this beautiful pink granite. We'll have a close-up look, I think. Well, folks, this awesome stone circle weighs over 2,500 tonnes. So you wouldn't want to be hauling this stuff too far, and they didn't. In one of their brochures it says they got it from 1 kilometre away. That's garbage. It's a lot further than that. So why don't we go and look at it? Because it's interesting. It's geology, which is always interesting. So we're just going to whiz over here now. This whole Esperance area, a lot of it is just sand. It's a big sand plain, as you can see by all those little lakes and divots and whatever. But sticking out through the sand in places are pieces of granite, and this granite is old. It's over 1 billion years old, 1.1 to 1.4 billion years old. And here's a piece of it here. This is called Mount Edward. It looks like Thunderbird 2 crashed. But anyway, that yellow stripe at the end of it is the quarry, and there's another quarry there as well. Of course, there's more of this stuff in there, and that is where those stones were quarried from. Now that stone is it's a fairly interesting stone. It's described as a light brown foliated megacrystic biotite cyanogranite containing pinkish brown megacrysts of K-feldspar 25 to 30 millimeters long. This is a fairly coarse granite, and from what I've seen, it looks absolutely stunning. Well, this is just an amazing bit of gear. I haven't been to Esperance in many years, but when I go there again, I will be going here. So how did we get here? Well, these lovely people, Kim and Julian Beale, they're now retired. They own the farm, and they're the ones that saved it. Just a quick point out, the lintels on Stonehenge are actually curved. The old-timers curved them. The lintels on this one, they're straight. Lazy buggers, they could have cut them in a curve. That would have taken them forever. Anyway, it's as good as it gets. Oh, I really like this monument. It's amazing. We need one over on this side of the country somewhere. So, if you dig the vibe, like and subscribe. And until next time, keep rocking. T-Rocks out.